All right, let me keep my fingers off so nothing gets remuted. Hi, everybody. I'm Malini Bandaru, a senior principal engineer at Intel, and I work in the open source team at Intel, mainly cloud technologies.
Hey folks, I'm Ramakaran Hetty. I'm a director here at Intel's Data Center AI division. Between me and Malini, we are going to speak today as to what the state of OPI is, and then what is it that we are trying to get to this year. We will try to leave some time at the end for questions, but if we don't, please feel free to use the chat as well as reach us offline, and we'll be able to answer any questions. Malini, please.
Okay, so just a little bit about myself. I work in cloud technologies, interested in AI, security, confidential compute, and I started at Intel as a Xeon architect. So from the hardware side, I went off to the software and open source side. And so I participated in KubeCons and open source summits on their program committees, uh, some patents, a STEM coach, and an avid gardener.
Malini. Hey guys, I've been with Intel quite some time. My current role is to define the software strategy and the roadmap and the product definition for enterprise layer of data center AI division. Prior to this, I've been managing our edge inferencing IoT division. Been with roles all the way from engineering to pre-sales, I would say. Started off as an engineer out of school, and then got my MBA and moved into product marketing, product design, product definition, business management, and P&L ownership. Right, with that, we'll keep going here.
Okay, so this is a boilerplate slide. Basically, we're part of the Linux Data and AI Foundation, so everything is inclusive. We work with multiple companies and stuff like that. So next slide, Rama. So what is the problem that OPEA is trying to address? I mean, Gen AI is all the rage. You know, you have large language models. I mean, it's just been amazing. And I started with AI during my PhD, which is nearly like 30 years ago. So much has changed since then. But Gen AI adoption is still slow. And why is that? It's because enterprises are struggling to unlock the value of Gen AI. It needs two kinds of expertise. It needs cloud expertise to deploy things at scale. It needs security expertise to deploy things at scale in a secure way so you don't leak your personal data, your proprietary data from your company, and so on and so forth. And also you need AI skills. So that's the gap that OPEA is trying to address. And what's OPEA? It's Open Platform for Enterprise AI. So with that, next slide, Rama. So just as Rachel mentioned, it's a whole year, our first birthday. We launched our technical steering committee under this Linux Data and AI Foundation. We have representatives from end users from the financial space. That's Fidelity. We have Amar there. We have a cloud native way of deploying things to get to your production scale at low cost. So we have Docker representation over here. We have Red Hat representation over here, especially from the security angle with Steve Grubb. We have also ISVs, and that's where we have CDW. We have AI companies, and with that, we have Logan from Llama Index. We have end user, you know, like logging and artifacts, etc., through JFrog. So that's pretty much our representation. And on the technical steering committee, we have both Kerr and myself. I represent the cloud aspects. Kerr represents the AI aspects with his expertise. It's all open source. It's all Apache 2 licensed code. It's open governance. So in the technical steering committee, everybody has a say. It's not just Intel. And then our last a member of the TSC was AMD, and that brought on board multi-vendor support for multiple hardwares, not just Intel hardware. And that's like the aspect of open source that's important, right? That you be inclusive, you include other kinds of hardware, software stacks, so on and so forth. So we're very, very glad that we're AMD joining us. It's all cloud native. And several of the TSC members have been like basically cloud native. Okay, they serve on the Kubernetes and CNCF boards. They've been past members there, or they've been governing body members there, and they release solutions that all are cloud native. And Red Hat, is very much over there with their Red Hat distribution for Kubernetes. Everything we have in OPEA is tested on Intel hardware, on AMD hardware, and then we also want to be very efficient in our resourcing so that we give you tokens at the lowest cost per token. So, how can you join the TSE? How can you influence OPEA? So, we have our home over there. So, just click there, you get there. We have multiple groups, working groups for security, for evaluation, for, you know, how to use it, so the developer experience. So we have a strong community over there, but we definitely need more participation from multiple folks. So we please invite you to join us over there and contribute your strengths, your skills, your experience over there. And we have the TSC meetings happen monthly. They're on the first Thursday of the month. So you're welcome to join. You're welcome to voice your opinions and concerns over there. Next slide, Rama. So with the TSC, we defined the vision for OPEA. I mean, we all come in with a different vision, but we had to combine our visions. And what did we come up with? We said we want to enable enterprises to develop and deploy GenAI solutions. And we wanted to power them with an open ecosystem that delivers security, safety, scalability, and scalability is through everything that we get through Kubernetes. And we want to be cost efficient and agile. And what do we mean by agile? This AI space is so fast. It's just floodgates. It's open to innovation. It's open to new projects. So we want to combine and leverage the best in the technologies over there. So you'll see things like a new model today, a new framework to serve models, and maybe something else on top of those frameworks in terms of improved inference and solutions over there. So that's what OPEA is. It's not just a static project, it wants to combine the latest, greatest in this evolving space. Next slide, Rama. So what does OPEA look like in terms of a software architecture? It's really got like 3 layers. At the bottommost layer, we have a bunch of microservices that provide you different functionality. And then at the next level, we have a way to combine these microservices. So that's why we call it workflows. And at the topmost layer, we have the GenAI examples. These are reference implementations that help you address some use cases that are very common, like chatbots, document summarization, code generation, code translation, and so on and so forth. Next slide, Rama. So in terms of those 3 layers, how does it map out into the sub-projects inside the OPEA GitHub repository? Very, very prominent are the GenAI examples right there. The second box on the left on the top layer, those are the GenAI examples. That's where we encourage you to get started. Come in, try one of the pipelines, see if it meets your use case. Like you want to maybe have a chatbot because you have, a store like Home Depot. How do I order a refrigerator? Basic request like what's the size, what's the dimension, what's that hole you can fit in, what are the options over there, type of stuff. That sort of questions you can answer with the chatbot after you upload some, Home Depot appliance or all their SKUs kind of information, type of stuff. Then the GenAI components, these are the beads that you chain together to make your necklace or your GenAI pipelines for your examples. Infrastructure handles creating clusters inside AWS and Google and so on and so forth with things like Terraform scripts, and then Kubernetes, as your base layer over there to reach your production and scale. And then also integrations with things like Service Mesh, Keycloak for getting authentication and authorization, and so on and so forth. And last but not least, you have GenAI Eval, because what is it in terms of performance? What is it in terms of accuracy and so forth? And then at the bottom, we have some more like custom things like the GenAI Studio that lets you do no code, low code solution generation. Then we have some China specific things like the models they use, the place where they have to go to download because they don't have as easy access as we have in the US to things like GitHub repos and Hugging Face. And then we have an enterprise RAG variant that you can deploy and combine with things like SageMaker or Watson X and so on and so forth. And of course, Docs. Next slide, Rama. And I hand
Okay.
off to Rama here.
All right, no worries. Yeah, thanks, Malini. So, so you've heard from Malini that it's been a year that we started this project, and you've heard her talk about what we're trying to do with microservices, what we're trying to do with building mega services, and some of the end-to-end use cases when she was referring to these end-to-end examples here, right? Basically, in the last 1 year, what is it that we have achieved is we have gathered and got close to 50 plus partners. And when we say partners, we have a diverse set of partners. These partners are all the way from experts who are just building vector databases to experts who are really good with building complete end-to-end solutions. Okay, so we have been enabling partners based off of what differentiation they could bring to an end customer's end-to-end solution. Okay, so if you look at this, right, we have vector database companies like MongoDB, ArongoDB, Milvus, Quadrant, and Neo4j, and others that can help with not just normal vector databases, but also graph vector databases, like, right? And then we have SIs and ISVs like CDW, or Insight, or Wipro, Infosys, that will help you build complete solutions. And somewhere in between, we also have data aggregators like Nutanix, and then we have some open search partners. I mean, AWS Open Source itself is a partner with us. So with all of these on board, right? So we are trying to create an easy configurable environment with differentiated solutions that doesn't vendor lock you into any particular space, area, or technology. Okay, so including silicon itself, as Intel, this being an open source project, we have AMD as one of our key partners and members with the highest number of contributions that shows that our open AI stack here that we developed can work not only on Intel silicon, but on other silicon products as well. Okay. With that said, I'd like to just go into a little more detail as to where we were, what we did, and then what is it that we're planning to do. So all of last year, we focused a lot more on the generic end-to-end examples, focused a lot on the standard RAG. We tried to create some hand-holding to infrastructure endpoints, and we have had two versions of OPEA released last year. And then this year, we want to focus a lot more on enhancing some of the capabilities we built on standard RAG. Okay, so last year, if we built Graph RAG that was capable of doing uh, one set of data, so this year we are trying to include structured and unstructured data that can be supported with Graph RAG. Last year, when we did hand-holding for inference endpoints, this year we're trying to add inference APIs that are easy to use and that will let you pick and choose whatever endpoint you want to run your deployed services on. Okay, last year when we did stuff like uh, creating end-to-end solutions using, let's say, the source code that you bring in, provided readmes and instructions as to how you can build end-to-end solutions. This year, we're focusing a lot more on low-code, no-code, drag-drop methodology to be able to bring in solutions using GenAI Studio. And as the entire market and the world's moving to agentic flows, right? We focused a lot on manual workflows last year and figuring out how we can use multiple sets of LLMs or services. This year, we're creating a framework to be able to create your agentic flows using OPEA components. Okay. And on top of it, we are also adding certain features that will help you with fine tuning. Okay, how do you support, let's say, low precision sparse parameter efficiency? Okay, how do you improve fine tuning with all of that, right? So with that said, here is a complete detailed view of the roadmap as to what we're trying to build. Okay, so the version 1.3 that is about to be released, or about to be ready to be released this year, you would see that we are supporting agentic flows with multi-turn messages, which means we are supporting flows where you have context-aware chat information being stored and being able to use that dynamically and help with your agentic flows. Okay, so we have built upon existing Q&A applications, and we are making it more agentic this year with advanced agentic Q&A. And to show that our framework support agents, we are focusing on one specific vertical segment. We picked finance agents, and then we are creating a methodology, or we are creating enough components at the base level such that you can easily go and look at financial data aggregation, and you can go use this data, use LLMs, and create your insights, create your judgment calls, or create your forecasts, or even be able to create graphs out of the data. Okay, so we have added, let's say, something like text to graph support and support for reading graphs and decipher graphs. So at the component level, at the end-to-end example level, and at the agentic level, we are adding different capabilities and features that will help bring the goodness of this open source project and be able to build end-to-end solutions. But the key here is, like we did all through last year with all of our partners here, right? We would like a lot more participation from our partners and ecosystem, because as Intel, with our resources, we can move uh, to a certain extent and get certain agents built. But what we're looking for is, let's say you guys are experts with a health vertical, or you guys are experts with running, let's say, a pharma. A pharma's data centers, right? So how do you bring in, let's say, your use case on, let's say, protein folding or protein mapping to drug molecules, and bring up and create your own, let's say, drug discovery agent, or your own version of manufacturing agent, or your own version of uh, chatbots that are capable of doing more than just question answers, right? So we are expecting our partners, ecosystem, and end customers to bring in some of these capabilities. And these capabilities, once again, like Mali said, right, you can bring them in at the microservices level, or you can bring them in as a complete pipeline, or you can bring them in and say, look, we have a set of partners we work with, and the end customers have a certain set of use cases, and then you can bring in complete and use cases too. And in all these cases, so if you have proprietary differentiation and a licensed microservice or a licensed end-to-end example, we have the ability, even though we are a complete open source project, right? We have the ability to integrate licensed components. We have the ability to bring in licensed end-to-end use cases and still make them available in the open source project, such that people, when they try it out in their POCs and when they want to go to deployment, they can still reach out to you and get your licensed versions and get your services through the OPEA frameworks and OPEA open source project here. Okay, so a few other things that we have done is added support for vLLM model serving completely on all of our Intel silicon, Intel Xeon, Intel Gaudi, and Intel accelerators. And now vLLM is the default model serving on more than just one of our chat Q&A examples. Okay, it is become the default for pretty much every one of our GenAI examples we are building. Okay, and going forward, we want to keep enhancing and we want to keep having support for vLLM just because of the amount of adoption we see out there. Okay, all through last year we supported LangChain and Llama Index frameworks. Okay, and this year we have added OPEA backend to Haystack as well. So beginning April, you should be able to build your end-to-end solutions based off of how you prefer in terms of frameworks too. Whether you want to use LangChain, Llama Index, or Haystack, it is up to the end customer or the partner to go build their solution based off of it, and we support all three frameworks. Okay. We have also added infrastructure components and capabilities, so automated help chart builds or automated Terraform scripts that will help you with your deployment into Kubernetes environments on distributed compute on clouds. Or you can take the same and you can use our Docker Compose containers that we have developed and included into our examples and build it into an on-prem system. Okay, so based on the end customer's use case, the same exact end-to-end example and microservices can be deployed either on-prem or onto a CSP. We also have added uh, operators that will help you take OPEA inferencing services and deploy them onto either manner on on-prem as well as in the cloud service providers. Okay. We are also trying to include additional support for newer models. So this year we're going to focus a lot more on DeepSeek, Granite models, and Mistral. With Granite models, these are proprietary IBM licensed models, right? So we have, up until last year, we had access to uh, Denver Data Works on our which had a Gaudi 2 accelerators. This year, we have brought in IBM Gaudi 3 accelerators on board too. So with that, we should be able to create enough endpoints for the end customers to decide if they want to run it on Xeon alone or Xeon plus accelerators or Xeon plus Xeon plus a competitive GPU or a competitive silicon itself completely, let's say AMD. Okay. But we have support for models on all of our silicon. I see a hand raised.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Hey, Rama, quick question on the models. I know this is an open source platform. It's a great initiative, by the way. Thank you all. This is what I was looking for because I worked for a big corporate, MasterCard, and then now I'm working with startups and then banks. This is the big problem that building the enterprise stack AI, right? So I think this definitely will help for that journey. So is there any reason why only certain models that you're working, not closed models much?
So this is an open source project. We test on only the models we have access to, which are the open source ones, but there's nothing preventing you from a proprietary model, one that you've developed yourself or fine-tuned yourself. Perfectly valid thing to do.
Okay, so the framework allows you to play with the closed models as well.
Absolutely. We let you set a environment variable called model ID, which could come from Hugging Face, which means then you need the Hugging Face token or your proprietary model, and just give the URL, it'll download from there and you run with that.
Awesome.
Think of it more as if you have access and if you have license to a closed source model, absolutely will be able to use with this framework. Okay. It's just that Intel's not actively going in and bringing in closed source model licenses and validating.
Because we don't have access to those,
resources and access. It's preventing us.
The only reason I asked is the big corporations or even any company, they don't want to corner with one, like vendor lock-in with one source provider or whatever that. But also at the same time, they want to play with all. So
this is a great project that lets you play with everything.
Exactly. So
so they're asking.
Go ahead.
They're asking, is there any skeleton framework that as an enterprise, as a company, that I could build my own, and then I can play with everybody. I think this is what I'm looking at. This platform will be enabling to do that.
Okay. If the question is about being able to play with multiple models on the same end-to-end solution, yes, we already support it. If the question is about creating custom models and creating fine-tuning or use their own
Yeah.
data set, right? We can have a conversation. We are focusing on that this year more at the in the later quarters of the year. We started with a RAG-based approach to be able to bring in as many people as we can to begin with, but eventually our goal is to be able to support fine-tuning as well as custom models, and even be able to create small language models, right? If you're looking at custom solutions and looking at higher accuracy with your internal data where you don't want your model information to be to be out there in the world, right? We are supporting that as well, Shekhar. So please do reach out to us, and
Awesome.
we'll have deeper conversations on that there.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I know we
We
only
can
have.
do one more thing. If you have a
I know.
custom model, we can even test it on our hardware and then
Yes.
fine tune it and things like that.
Give you some intel endpoints.
That would be under an NDA.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So we have some. Go ahead, please. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we have a set of documentation we have started creating. We have links to all of that. Everything that we have developed and everything that's ready to use is available on our GitHub. Okay. OPEA project. We have README starting guides. We have end-to-end examples, details on what each of the microservices do and what end-to-end examples do. What you'd like to get out of our partners is come join the project. Okay, so figure it out. Understand what our components, GenAI examples, our infrastructure components, and our eval benchmarks show you. Okay, so come tell us what your problems are. Tell us more about what you're trying to solve in terms of use cases. Let us see how we can either solve them with existing components, or let us figure out how we can create and co-develop services with you, taking the share of the services monetization with your end customer. As Intel, we only support and enable you in bringing up your services, and we only show you how to run the services on Intel Silicon, and we are not monetizing any of this as Intel. Okay. Plus, being an open source project, we are being very neutral. Any Silicon platform can still work and run with these services. Okay. We are looking for more and more powered by OPEA solutions. We are looking for you to come join our communities events and create train the trainer events with us. Okay. We have some links on this page again. And just to close, here is another QR code. Once you go in here, you will be able to see all the information we shared and more. Please go look at it, come back to us with questions, and let's have deeper conversations.